Good evening, and welcome to World in 15, your trusted source for comprehensive coverage of today's most pressing events, delivered with accuracy, integrity, and insight.
The new world for which the greatest generation sacrificed in the bloody surf of the Normandy beaches is fading into history along with the last of the old soldiers. We have Shelby reporting on this.
The 80th anniversary of the D-Day landings, observed by President Joe Biden in France on Thursday, will likely be the last major decennial commemoration attended by significant numbers of veterans. Even a 19-year-old who stormed ashore in the biggest amphibious operation in history would soon be 100. We're not far off from the time when the last living voices of those who fought in blood on D-Day will no longer be with us, so we have a special obligation, Biden said after embracing and saluting the last surviving members of the invasion force above the beaches where thousands of Americans died. We cannot let what happened here be lost in the silence of the years to come. This year's memorial ceremony represents far more than a poignant farewell to surviving comrades of more than 150,000 Allied troops who forged a beachhead for the liberation of Europe from Adolf Hitler's Nazis. Presidents, prime ministers, and monarchs from NATO nations gathered at a paradoxical moment. They are unusually united but experiencing growing dread. The alliance has a new sense of mission in opposing another war started by a tyrant bent on territorial expansion, this time in Ukraine. But at no point since June 6, 1944, has the unshakable U.S. leadership of the West and support for internationalist values been so in question. Democracy is facing its sternest test in generations from far-right populism on the march on both sides of the Atlantic Ocean. Geopolitical empires like Russia and China are, meanwhile, resurgent and threatening to obliterate the global system dominated by Western values that has prevailed since World War II. Biden drew a direct line between the evil that U.S. soldiers were called up to fight in the 1940s and the current attempt by President Vladimir Putin's Russia to wipe Ukraine off the map and extinguish its democracy. We cannot let that happen. To surrender to bullies, to bow down to dictators is simply unthinkable. Were we to do that, it means we'd be forgetting what happened here on these hallowed beaches. Make no mistake, we will not bow down, we will not forget, he said. Those who served in Normandy, Biden said, all understood our democracy is only as strong as we make it all together. They knew, beyond any doubt, there are things that are worth fighting and dying for. Freedom is worth it, democracy is worth it, America's worth it, the world is worth it, then now and always. His words were especially resonant amid growing fears in Europe that the United States, the bulwark of democracy ever since World War II, may be about to turn its back on the West. U.S. allies, already rattled by presumptive Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump's constant attacks on NATO in his first term, were further rocked by his recent comment that he'd let Russia do whatever the hell they want with allies that he regarded as failing to pay their bills on defense spending. The comment weakened the foundational NATO creed of mutual self-defense without which the alliance has no meaning. Some of Trump's ex-advisors have warned that he might try to exit the alliance if he wins a second term in November. Even if Biden wins, there are growing indications that Americans' willingness to maintain the security guarantees, even to former enemies like Germany and Japan that bought 80 years of peace, may be waning. Trump's America First philosophy has taken deep root in the Republican Party that once prided itself on winning the Cold War. The ex-president tried to overturn U.S. democracy to stay in power 4 years ago, and some GOP figures led by the ex-president now appear to have more empathy for Putin than for liberal European democracies that the United States rebuilt after World War II. The months-long delay in funding Biden's most recent aid package for Ukraine raised doubts that Washington will always stand up for democracy in Europe and against aggression by autocrats. Biden on Thursday cited an unrepayable debt owed to U.S., British, Canadian, and other troops involved in Operation Overlord. He walked among row upon row of white crosses and stars of David shaded by pine trees and oaks overlooking Omaha Beach. This is where more than 9,000 fallen Americans from all 50 states and the District of Columbia lay at rest thousands of miles from the land they left to save foreigners they'd never met. When the final survivors of World War II are soon gone, the world will lose living testimony of a fight against tyranny that once involved millions of people and unimaginable pain and destruction. That will usher in a dangerous period when malevolent political actors will find it easier to distort history to bolster their own power. This has already been happening as the lessons of the Nazi Holocaust, from which there are dwindling numbers of survivors to bear witness, have been challenged by a rise in anti-Semitism in Western societies. Back to you, John.
Thanks for that update.
Japan's fertility rate, which has been falling for many years, has reached another record low as the government ramps up efforts to encourage young people to get married and start families, even launching its own dating app. We have Anthony reporting on this.
The nation of 123.9 million people only recorded 727,277 births last year, according to new data released by the Ministry of Health, Labor, and Welfare on Friday. The fertility rate, defined as the total number of births a woman has in her lifetime, dropped from 1.26 to 1.20. For a population to remain stable, it needs a fertility rate of 2.1. Anything above that will see a population expand, with a large proportion of children and young adults, as seen in India and many African nations. But in Japan, the fertility rate has been well below that stable marker of 2.1 for half a century. Experts say it fell below that level after the 1973 global oil crisis pushed economies into recession and never recovered. The downward trend has accelerated in recent years, with the number of deaths overtaking births each year and causing the total population to shrink, with far-reaching consequences for Japan's workforce, the economy, welfare system, and social fabric. In 2023, the country recorded 1.57 million deaths, according to the health ministry, more than double the number of births. And Japan's not having much matrimonial luck either. The number of marriages fell by 30,000 last year, while the number of divorces rose. Experts say the decline is expected to continue for at least several decades and is to some extent irreversible due to the country's population structure. Even if Japan were to boost its fertility rate tomorrow, its population will keep falling until the skewed ratio of young people to older adults balances out. Still, the government is now racing to soften the impact, launching new government agencies to focus specifically on this problem. It has launched initiatives such as expanding child care facilities, offering housing subsidies to parents, and in some towns, even paying couples to have children. In the capital, Tokyo, local officials are trying a new tack, launching a government-run dating app, which is in early testing phases and will be fully operational later this year. Please use it as the first step to begin marriage hunting, the app's website says, adding that the AI matchmaking system is provided by the Tokyo Metropolitan Government. Users are asked to take a values diagnostic test, but there's also an option to put in the desired traits of a future partner. Based on your values and the values you seek in a partner, which can be determined by taking a diagnostic test, AI will introduce you to a compatible person. It said, what cannot be measured by appearance or conditions alone may lead to unexpected encounters. Back to you, Bella.
Thanks for that update.
At the beginning of the year, Narendra Modi launched his unofficial election campaign from the steps of a grand Hindu temple. India was about to enter a divine era, he said, declaring the beginning of a new time cycle. We have Jensen reporting on this.
January's inauguration of the Ram Mandir, on the site of a destroyed mosque, analysts said, was the latest and most significant step in a years-long project moving India away from its secular, pluralist founding principles and toward a new future as a Hindu nation. On Tuesday night, Modi's Bharatiya Janata Party, BJP, lost its seat in the town where the temple stands. The loss sent shockwaves through a country where a firebrand ideology of Hindu nationalism has, over the last decade of Modi's leadership, been thrust into the center of daily life. But as the election results showed, for many voters, his BJP's strident ideology could not compensate for far more pressing local issues, including soaring unemployment and rising inflation. The opposition, which had been all but written off by many pundits and polls, put on a far stronger showing than expected, winning seats in BJP strongholds while denting Modi's aura of invincibility. The INDIA alliance, a grouping of dozens of political parties with a breadth of political positions, won 235 out of 543 seats in the lower house of parliament, denying the BJP its dream of forming a supermajority, and with it, a mandate to enact radical change. The star face of that alliance, Indian National Congress lawmaker Rahul Gandhi, had long been ridiculed by Modi, disregarded by many analysts as an ineffective and weak leader. Not so anymore. Voters have sent a clear message to Modi. Gandhi said Tuesday night, "We do not want you." Though the opposition lost, for many it felt like a win. Modi will enter a third consecutive term as India's Prime Minister, becoming only the second person to do so, but must rely on his coalition allies in a way he has never done before. The people's mandate has given befitting reply to the BJP and their politics of hate, corruption, Congress Chief Mallikarjun Kharge told reporters Wednesday. This is a mandate in defense of the Constitution of India, and a mandate to save democracy. While the BJP alone still won more seats than the INDIA alliance combined, by many critics' accounts, there wasn't a level playing field. This was not a normal contest, Indian activist Yojendra Yadav told local news channel India Today. Gandhi, the scion of a political dynasty that has produced 3 prime ministers, was last year disqualified as a lawmaker and handed a 2-year jail sentence for defamation in a ruling his supporters say was politically motivated. Gandhi was later reinstated as a lawmaker following an intervention from India's Supreme Court and didn't serve prison time. Back to you, John.
Thanks for that update.
A popular Los Angeles YouTuber faces an explosives charge with federal prosecutors accusing him of directing a video stunt in which fireworks were blasted from an airborne helicopter and at a speeding Lamborghini. We have Alana reporting on this.
Suk Min Choi, 24, who also goes by Alex Choi, 24, was arrested Wednesday and charged with 1 count of causing the placement of an explosive or incendiary device on an aircraft, the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Central District of California announced in a news release Thursday. Choi, who has 923,000 followers on YouTube and 1.2 million followers on Instagram, posted a video titled "Destroying a Lamborghini with Fireworks" on July 4, 2023, according to an affidavit filed with the criminal complaint. The nearly 11-minute video, which is no longer posted on Choi's social media pages, shows 2 women shooting fireworks out of the helicopter and toward the sports car, the affidavit said. After shooting what appears to be a live-action version of a fictionalized video game scene, the video transitions to a behind-the-scenes look at how Choi shot the first third of the video. During this portion of the video, Choi allegedly makes various references to himself coordinating the shoot, the U.S. Attorney's Office said. Authorities believe the footage was shot in June 2023 on a federally owned area of the El Mirage Dry Lakebed in San Bernardino County, California. The Bureau of Land Management provided photos of tire marks left behind by the sports car, according to prosecutors. Choi is also accused of lacking the proper permits to film in the area, including Federal Aviation Administration approval for planned filming activities involving the helicopter, according to the affidavit. Additionally, prosecutors said Choi traveled to Las Vegas to buy the fireworks because they are illegal in California. CNN is attempting to identify Choi's legal representation. No other people involved in the video were named in the affidavit. No injuries were reported as a result of the stunt, Sharon McEvoy, a spokesperson for the U.S. Attorney's Office, told CNN. Dozens of videos on Choi's YouTube channel feature flashy luxury sports cars, though the most recent video was posted in December. Choi made his initial appearance in court Thursday and was released on $50,000 bond, McEvoy said. Choi did not enter a plea. His arraignment is scheduled for July 2. He faces up to 10 years in prison if convicted as charged, according to prosecutors. Back to you, Bella.
Thanks for that update. Apple's Vision Pro mixed reality headset was announced 1 year ago this week, and it's arguably already due for a major upgrade to add artificial intelligence. We have Ava reporting on this.
Apple is expected to announce its first batch of generative AI tools for the iPhone and iPad next week as part of a greater effort to breathe new life into its struggling product lines. Although the Vision Pro mixed reality headset has only been on the market for a few months, some experts believe the same technology could soon find its way onto the device. Generative AI, the buzzy form of artificial intelligence that can provide thoughtful and thorough responses to questions and prompts, could potentially propel the headset into another level of personalization and immersion and usher in new use cases for businesses, particularly in the education and medical space. It could also boost sales of the pricey Vision Pro, which has reportedly and unexpectedly received a production cut. At its annual Worldwide Developers Conference at its Cupertino, California headquarters, which kicks off Monday, June 10, CEO Tim Cook will likely lay out the company's vision for this type of AI. It's also expected to partner with ChatGPT maker OpenAI to unlock new layers of interaction across its product lines. All this comes during a time when the company is under pressure to catch up to rivals such as Google and Samsung, which are already using the technology in its smartphones. The most obvious way to integrate generative AI into the Vision Pro would be through a virtual assistant similar to a much smarter Siri, allowing users to ask questions about what they're watching or automating tasks, such as sending texts by voice or turning on the lights. Other use cases include real-time language translation, deeper collaboration in a workspace environment, or personalized fitness plans and guided meditations, according to experts. Back to you, Bella.
Thanks for that update.
Thanks for tuning in to World in 15 for your daily dose of news and updates. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out on breaking stories and insightful analysis.